Welcome to DAExMachiNation. Join us as we explore the mysteries of this world. Cryptids, monsters, macabre tales, and horror stories abound. Could they be true? Are monsters real?
And folks, thank you all for joining us on another edition of DAExMachiNation. In the house tonight, we've got Carrie Pocket Doc Davis coming from the 420 state itself, Colorado, and Robert Jed Rains from the blazing hot metropolis down in South Crackalacky, where the humidity's so freaking high it could hunt ducks with a rake.
Ain't that the truth?
How the hell are you guys doing?
Wyatt, I am rolling.
Boys, I'm excited tonight. I think this is going to be a good show. I am super stoked.
Well, I know people were expecting, just to let them know, Luca got a bad head cold, and it's wintertime in Australia instead of summertime so she, what was it, Thursday? She messaged us DA and said she still couldn't talk, so we are going to reschedule her for next Saturday, I think.
Yeah, next Saturday.
So she'll be on next Saturday. She sends her apologies and says she will see y'all next Saturday.
Folks, before we go any further, I wanted to do something that we don't normally do because something happened that really has kind of shook me up. And being the son of a preacher man, I was hoping Doc would say a prayer for the folks down in Texas. There are a bunch of children missing in that flood, and we cannot lift them up enough in prayer. There are so many people missing, and they're sending in as much aid as they can get there, but some of those kids are as young as 6 years old. And I don't if y'all ain't the praying type, still, send up positive smoke, whatever. But I want to take a moment of silence for those folks down in Texas, because if there's anybody who needs our prayers tonight, it's them. Doc, do you mind, brother?
Amen. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you as humbly as we know how, and we pray that your strength and your comfort will be placed upon those families, and your strength and all the available reserves that they can handle is placed in the hands of the rescuers and first responders and law enforcement, firefighters, EMTs, hospital personnel, whoever is out there working and helping. We pray that you give them the strength necessary to continue their mission. Make sure that even if it becomes a recovery mission, that everyone's recovered so that all these families can get closure. And we pray your helping hand with those little ones. And we pray that your angels guide them and keep them safe from harm. And all these things we ask. Amen.
Amen. Doc, thank you. And I kind of put you on the spot there, but
no, it's okay.
But yeah,
Beautifully said, Doc, as always, brother.
Thank you.
Doc is the most eloquent of us.
I don't know about all that.
But all our hearts and prayers are going out to those folks down in Texas.
That as a parent, man, all of us are parents. There's just so many parents we have here. I can, Angie and I were talking about, I cannot even imagine to describe the gut-wrenching horror and despair that these folks are feeling right now, worrying about their little ones, man, and the ones that have lost them. I can't. That's just oof.
It's something no parent should have to go through.
Amen to that, man. Amen to that, man. Oof. Lord have mercy. I can't even imagine that. We saw that yesterday, and it just, that's like our grandkids. That's like our grandkids are at a church camp right now, or they were. And as soon as Angie and I saw it, we're like, oh my God, that's Allie and the kids. You know what I mean? Because it hits home. It hits home. So,
folks, if you want to help out, look for the Red Cross in that area, any of the volunteer services that are in that area of search and rescue. I don't know any of the websites. I haven't had a chance to look them up. But if you know, if you would like to help, if you've got the ability and would like to help in that situation, there are numerous resources in that area, from churches to the American Red Cross, the Salvation Army, that are all pitching in to help look for survivors.
And I know the United States Cajun Navy, a bunch of fishermen and folks in Louisiana, they're out there right now actively assisting in the efforts as well. So I know they're a not-for-profit group as well. So always a good one to contribute to. Those folks are first on that happening. Sure.
And it's just a testament to how dangerous those flash floods are.
Oh my God! It rose. What was it, like 42 feet?
Yeah, in within hours.
Yeah, it's devastating.
You two know that I understand how dangerous those things can be, how quick they can come up, and how
Absolutely.
Bobby almost died in one.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yep.
Miss Lene, if you have a chance, would you consult the Googles and see if you can post a couple of links where folks could direct their help if they want to jump in. Don't send anything to us. If you're going to make a super chat tonight, I ask that you give it to them. We appreciate the super chats, but we're not asking for them. If you feel the desire to help out, help them.
Yeah, amen to that. Amen to that. That was good. Good.
Roxanne says one report said 26 feet plus in an hour.
Good Lord, have mercy,
folks. I'm not trying to sound like I'm beating a dead horse here, but it might not have helped in the initial flooding, but the amount of injuries that are going to come along with that, even when they're pulling people out of these floodwaters, there's going to be broken bones, there's going to be damage. And this is a perfect reason why you should keep a med kit in your vehicle, or if you're camping, have one on hand. Check out the full line of kits from Dark Angel, but I'm not just saying Dark Angel. If you've got any kind of med kit, keep it on hand, because these kind of emergencies happen without warning. And that med kit might save a child's life.
Yep.
Yeah. Lord have mercy.
So I don't care where you get a kit, but get one, learn how to use it, and keep it handy. But I definitely recommend.
100%. No, I appreciate it, man. Yeah, absolutely. We just want folks to be prepared no matter what you got. So
that's absolutely correct. Well, Doc, you weren't here the other day. Do you remember when we did that episode talking about how Missouri Department of Conservation engaged cat creatures down here in southern Missouri? Do you remember us talking about that?
I do, vaguely, yes.
Well, guess what happened just a couple of days ago? Let me bring this. No, this just happened out of the blue. And let me share this on screen. For those of you who are unfamiliar with that story, earlier this year we did an entire show on it. Apparently there was a group of teenagers down in the Drury-Muncie Conservation Area. Drury-Muncie Conservation Area here in southern Missouri. Were out. Yes, they had planted some pot plants out in the woods. They were out checking their plants, and they got chased out by a group, what they described as bipedal mountain lions. Conservation Department didn't believe them at first, but when the Conservation Department went in, they got jumped by a group of these things. Apparently, they came out of the trees, and ended up Missouri Department of Conservation fired on them and had to back their way out of there. And just out of the blue, right before the 4th of July holiday, this pops up. They closed the campground in that area, shut it down.
Right before the 4th.
Right before the 4th, right before the holiday. And we were talking about this the other night when you weren't here, Doc. And let me bring up the maps of the area. When you look at this area, it becomes abundantly clear just how isolated this is. Let me share this. And this is, again, right here in Missouri. I haven't been in this area yet, Doc, because I'm not going in without numbers. This is the campground they closed. And this is the conservation area right here. It goes all the way up to this whole area right here. You can see there's almost no human population out here.
Right.
This is over here. This is Lake Taneycomo and / the White River, because Lake Taneycomo actually becomes the White River. But as wide as this is, that's still part of Taneycomo. And there are thousands of acres out here that are just extremely dense woods.
Show him where the dam is where me, you, and him were driving around, DA, so he gets an idea.
This is it. This is Branson over here.
Uh-huh.
And here's the dam where we were at, right about here.
Okay.
Nope, about here. There's Lampe. Okay, right there, Kimberling City. So the dam was over here by Indian Point, and right about there is Combs Ferry.
Okay.
With Joe Ball here.
That's where DA time was born.
That's where DA time is. That's right. But look where this is at, how close that is off that lake.
That's not far at all.
And that is some dense, thick hills, woods, and valley. And guess what? It's right smack in the middle of the Mark Twain National Forest.
Who knew?
Yeah, who would have thought it? Who'd have thunk it?
Who'd have thunk it? Wow.
So I'm thinking, this is what I'm planning. I want to do this in three shifts. First one, I want to do a daylight recon. I want to take a group of 6 to 8 armed individuals, mostly with cameras, but everybody armed. And I want to go to this campground and shoot images. And I want to go up to this area up here. There ain't nothing but woods and lake. I want to go up in that area and also shoot some images. I want to do some test images. I want to go up there, but the recon, we're not going to do much off the road. Most of it's going to be close to parking lots. We're going to get a feel for the area and see what we can find. Look for tracks, look for scat, look for signs, see if we hear anything. And I'm also planning on going by this little spot right, where's it at? Right here. There's a conservation office down here in those woods. I thought I'd pop in and say, hey, we were thinking about camping up in this area. And can you tell us what kind of wildlife we might run into? See if I can get a story out of somebody.
Yeah, y'all got any bipedal cats in here?
Yeah. You guys seen any big 2-legged cats running around out here? Bad kitty.
Good.
But that's the first one. First one, I want to go in just as a daylight recon, a smaller group, armed obviously, but probably long guns kept in the car unless we need them. Everybody shooting footage, everybody taking video or pictures, looking for tracks, looking for evidence. The second part, I want to do a daytime excursion where we go in. What I would like to do is go in somewhere up here and see if we can get back to some of these like big clearing areas. Mm-hmm. See if we can find a way to get back to some of these clearing areas. Now, it's going to be a bit of a hike, but I want to go in there during the day, set up shop during the day, spend several hours, and see what we can hear, what we can record, what we can catch on film. The third one, the final one, will be an overnight excursion. And I want to try to go in by pontoon boat if we can make it happen. I want to go in off of Lake Taneycomo, through Wolf Hollow, and up to Mincy Creek. If we can put in and establish a base camp there, We might even spend a couple of days.
That's a pretty good sized sandbar they got there too. It looks like so.
Yeah. Well, right now that's probably all underwater. Table Rock Lake and Taneycoma are both very well up, so that's probably all underwater. But if we could get a pontoon boat back in there, we can get up on this high ground.
Yep. Good place for the old RBC.
So that's my plan, folks. And a lot of it's going to hinge on how many people we can get involved in the project. Because the first one, like I said, I want to 6 to 8. Keep it with a good group, but people that are there to understand what we're doing. It's just a recon. But when we go back for the expeditions, I want to take at least a dozen, probably at least 2 to 3 dedicated cameramen.
Yeah.
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 So what do y'all think of that?
You know what I think. Are we there yet?
I think we better bring some catnip the size of a bale of hay.
Pete says body cams. We've got a few. What are those GoPros? Planning on picking up a few more. Plus, we'll have the cameras on our phones. Doc's got a thermal cam. Wyatt's got a thermal cam. I know Wyatt will be going. Robbie's got the Psionics, and hopefully I'll have replaced my thermal camera by then as well. But I'm going to make up a list of supplies we need, and whoever's going, everybody can kind of hopefully pitch in. And I guarantee you, if we're going to try to get back into any of those like fire roads or old logging roads, if we're taking 4-wheel drives back in there, we've got to take at least 2 chainsaws, because the last thing I want is for somebody to shove a tree down over our trail and trap us in there.
I got a chainsaw.
I've got an electric one, but I think it'd probably be better to have a gas-powered one, because that battery runs dead pretty fast.
Yeah. I got a steel 261 with 18-inch bar on it.
I'm sure.
Miss Lene found the.
See, oh, yeah, there you go. Miss Lene put something up.
There we go. So there you go, folks. It's in the chats right here on the screen. I don't know if you can screenshot or copy and paste it, but that's set up by one of the local news centers there in Austin. Should allow folks to be able to pick, who they want to donate to. So like I said, if you're feeling like you want to give us a super chat tonight, please give it to them. So what do you guys think? Do you think 3 parts the way to do it?
I say that's pretty smart.
Oh, absolutely.
We'll do AARs after every one of them, and then we're going to want to do at least a day or 2 between each one, maybe longer, so we've got time to analyze all of the footage and all the images.
Yeah, we need to have a topo map of the area. Have
Robbie had a good app for that.
CalTopo.
Okay, but what about paper in the event somebody's phone goes Tango uniform?
Oh yeah, we need to pick up some topo maps of the area. I'll see what I can find.
But if DA can get the GPS location and send it to us, we can actually look at it before we even get down there. You can plug the coordinates in.
We can do a little hard recon, because they may have some maintenance trails cut in and things like that.
That's the point of the recon, is to go in and look for our best points of entry.
For sure. And also egress if need be.
And to thumb the nose at a comment somebody made on one of the videos, we are going much farther than 200 yards into the. We're going miles back in. In fact, if we go in by pontoon boat, we're probably going to be 10 miles in by boat.
Hmm.
And that's without even any other place to pull the boat out. So we're gonna have to have a big enough party barge that we can load all of our gear on it, and we may have to even take 2 trips if we've got that many people.
Yeah,
unless we can get a second pontoon. We gotta get the first one first, though.
Yeah, we gotta get the first one first.
Yeah, buddy.
And be careful if you hand me and Doc any flashbangs.
Come bring down a damn mountain.
We can be resourceful with them things.
That's correct. Yeah, buddy.
Don't even breathe heavy in that direction. Don't worry, folks. Y'all will get that joke soon enough.
Yeah.
Mary Cole says, "Yikes, I'm late. My dog got out. We were chasing her up and down the road. Well, hope you got her back safe." I know with the fireworks rocking the neighborhood, Harley's flipping out.
Oh, God. Yeah. We got Chester here, our grand dog, and he was about to vibrate off the freaking couch last night. And the other one, Doc, he was just laying there.
He's a southern
You know,
dog.
Robbie, we have been somewhat remiss in our duties. Do you know what we've been remiss upon?
Oh, Lord.
I got a pretty good idea.
Do you know how many Doc's got a mini weenie jokes we could make?
Right there between the lines.
Yeah.
Oh,
Doc, how's your little weenie doing?
Oh, Lord.
Love you, Peach.
Yeah.
Y'all are
Hey, also another thought. The Dogman call from there in South Carolina. Let's play that down there.
Okay.
And again, we got to go in hot because apparently multiple Department of Conservation agents had to shoot their way out, and they talk about them coming in through the treetops and being hard to see until they move.
You ain't really selling this whole thing here.
You know I ain't scaring you off either.
No, you ain't.
Doc's going to be like, I got 2 guns, one for each
of you.
Yeah, exactly. I'll start shooting my big toes at that point.
And if 100 of them shows up, then Doc's got 2 6-shooters. That's 12 dead, and 12 dead and 88 pallbearers.
Hey, Doc, if I bring the 4-wheeler down, you bring the big play pretty. You think we can mount it on there backwards, and you sit behind me, and I'll drive, and you.
Oh, we possibly could.
I got a big rack on the back of it.
We possibly could do that.
Guys, if we can get in there with 4-wheel drives, I think we can get back to some of those deep clearings, because a couple of them look like they've either got a logging road to them, and this is just looking at it from the aerial view. They've either got a logging road or a right of way for power lines. Either way, I think we're going to be able to get back to some of those deep clearings.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it might just be following like those maintenance roads, logging roads, power lines, things like that, and then finding out where we are and then veering off, and we don't have to go that far either direction to hit those. So
we'll take paper maps to back up the GPS.
Yeah.
Buster and Phyllis says, "Yeah, you bring the catnip." Yeah, I was thinking, maybe we try that too.
Yeah, no crap.
Or some catnip around one of the camping campsites and watch.
We need about a 50-pound bale of it. Candy Stuff had a ballistic question. What's your opinion of the 357 versus Colt 45? Both of them are fine. You're going to have the ability to load the 45 Colt, depending on the frame pistol you got. If it's a big enough frame, strong enough frame, like the old model Vaqueros or the Blackhawks, things like that, you can use Underwood ammo, which actually in their 250 grain load hits harder than a 44 Magnum. So you're going to have a lot of good deep, penetration on that sucker. 357 is definitely for effective against hominids. The 2-legged type version of us, but as far as getting the deep channel and things like that, you probably would go with something a little bit more robust. 44 mag, 45 Colt, 460 Smith, a 500 Smith, something like that. So 41 mag even. But that's about it. 10 mil, if you're talking auto loaders, you can have some seriously good ammo for that too. That hit, that's about like a ballistically equivalent to a 41 mag. So
if Jenkins comes with us and he said he wants to, he's got a Desert Eagle 50 and a Smith & Wesson 500 Magnum.
Oh, yeah, he's definitely
I'll do it.
I mean, here's the thing. I mean, people have killed black bear, grizzly, and everything with a 357, but they used every round backing up and still had, probably had skid marks in their britches after that. So, I mean, could it work? Yeah, but if I could carry something bigger out in the woods.
That Ranger, was it out in Arizona or Wyoming or somewhere like that, where he was releasing the bear out of that barrel trap, and it came out and it turned on him and knocked the trap over, and he emptied all 6 rounds out of his 357 and had to reload, and it still got him. So 2 complete rounds of 357 or cylinders worth of 357 into it.
Well, just like that brown bear up in Alaska. Remember, the father and the son were hunting, and they caught that on camera. The son still got swiped pretty bad, had a bad laceration. I think they ended up putting it down with a 10 mil. So that's a big brown bear, big grizzly, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, it's definitely, Chris, I agree 100% with that.
Because nobody argues with Ma.
Now, Ma Deuce for the win. Reach out and touch someone. That ain't Ma Bell. That's Ma Deuce.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that'd be. We definitely need to do some serious planning on that. Show.
I plan on making a list and probably making like a private group on Facebook to invite just the people that we're planning on taking for each part of the expedition to that group, so we can share maps, we can share information, and communicate effectively just among us. And then, try to keep as much of, I don't want to release any of the information on time and date, the location we're talking about, but I don't want to release time and date until after the fact.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I think that would be a good idea. And that way we can look at, weather reports, figure out best time to go, all that kind of stuff.
And make sure we're picking a day that everybody's available.
Correct.
I may or may not plan on doing the recon without you boys, because I know your time's limited when I get you here.
Yeah, for sure.
I just do the recon with what I can scare up local, and then plan after we do the recon, plan the big ones.
Yeah. Could do that. Give us a local.
I will definitely be looking to acquire a few more kits from you, Doc.
Okay. We can definitely work on that, brother. Don't you worry about that. Show.
Because I want to make sure we got plenty of them. Everybody's either going to be carrying a kit or a cat tourniquet, or both.
All of the above.
Cat tourniquet.
Nighthawk. Don't forget your floaties. I got my floaties, man. Don't worry.
And a plethora of pew pew and freedom seeds.
Correct. Oh my goodness.
Stevie B says, how long is each excursion? First one's just going to be a recon. Probably, we'll probably head down there fairly early in the morning, spend the day. Going into some of the nooks and crannies, checking the old campgrounds, probably walking some of the right-of-ways on the power poles, looking for logging roads. The first one, we're going to spend a full day just reconning the area to find our best points of entrance and look for signs. To me, it says that area is active, that they went ahead and shut down that campground. And that's a kind of an alarming trend with campgrounds in that area.
Yeah.
And apparently there was just another one shut down up on Truman Lake too.
They ain't careful. There ain't gonna be no campgrounds open in Missouri before it's done.
Yeah.
Well, they're ones that are like right on top of resorts, like the one out on Indian Point. It's still open because there's a ton of people there. But the ones that are in the woods are seeming to be targeted. I mean, look, there aren't hardly any houses. There's some houses close to Joe Bald, but not not in Joe Bald. But Joe Bald is also still looks like you could open it back up. Combs Ferry does not, and I kind of wonder what
you take away those food from them.
Yeah, I wonder what's going to happen with this one down at Drury Memphis. Are they going to go in and destroy it, or are they just temporarily shutting it down? Dash 5257 says it's a big deal shutting down a campground during 4th of July. Yeah, you can bet your ass it is, because campgrounds down on those lakes down by Branson are at a premium. I mean, you get on a holiday weekend and tourist season down there, it's almost impossible to just drive down there and find a campsite. You got to book it in advance.
I'm about to say, not for nothing, how many big refunds did they have to send? Because I'm sure that's not something that people just call the day before and say, hey, I'm going to come. Like you just said, advance, they probably had to refund that probably cost them a nice little chunk of change to do that. So it's not
a huge campground, but it looks like there's probably 15 to 20 good sites there. And I'll bet money they're primitive.
And either way, they'd have to have they had to have a good reason to shut that down, because I'm sure that cost them some money.
Oh yeah, I would definitely say so. Harold Goodell says, how much longer before the government sends in wet teams to remove those problems? That's why I want to get in there as soon as I can, before something like that does happen. Now, if we get down there on the recon and we see a bunch of military vehicles, I'm probably just going to pull the plugs to get the hell out of here before we wind up getting ourselves arrested. Yeah. But that's all the Mark Twain. We should have zero problems going in anywhere, because that's all public land.
Well, he just said you can only close down so much, and that brings up a very good point, because if you continue to see a site here getting closed and a site here getting closed and a site here getting closed without any kind of rhyme or reason, and you contact the DOC, guarantee you're going to get some kind of party line answer on it.
Mm-hmm. And they'll probably say something along the lines of, well, remember, that's not far from that area where that trail cam picked up what looked like a panther. We believe was a jaguar.
Yep.
And that's not far from there. Yeah. So they might be using problems with mountain lions or bears to shut that down. That might be the excuse. But the timing of those reports is just too coincidental to me.
Yeah, those are all interesting theories and hypotheses. This being an entertainment purposes only show, like Wyatt said. So
this show is for entertainment purposes only. Yeah. And to the bush that changes shift in my front yard, we are not doing anything crazy. Roxanne says, does the AI still say the facility from Plum Island that was relocated to Manhattan, Kansas, could have something to do with these critters? She ain't wrong. Plum Island Research Center is now in Manhattan, Kansas.
That's Fort Riley.
Yeah.
The big red.
Supposedly it's underground, too.
Huh. That's a good movie, too, by the way.
That was a good movie.
Lions and tigers and beards. Oh, my.
That's funny.
I like that. That's funny. I want to. Part of the recon is to determine what kind of cell coverage we've got down there, because if we're not going to have any kind of cell coverage, it's going to basically eliminate the possibility of going live while we're down there, unless we can get a signal booster. So I'm going to get down there, hopefully very soon. As soon as I can get a group together to do a full recon. Might even do it during the week when people are at work, so less chance of running into folks down there. But that area is off the beaten path, and it's kind of in the butt crack of nowhere, so I don't foresee really running into anybody. But I will most definitely follow our own instructions. Even if I'm going in there with a group, somebody's going to know where we're at when we're supposed to be back.
Yes. That would be a spicy little meatball.
Yard.
If I saw it happening, I'd spray myself down with bear spray. I'd tear their butt up one last time.
that was something I was thinking about too. I've still got enough contacts in law enforcement. I'm going to ask a couple of them if they can't acquire me a few off the shelf law enforcement grade cans of spray.
Yeah. Couldn't
Because
hurt.
that's way worse than bear spray.
Yeah, couldn't hurt.
I may have a can or two of that laying around somewhere.
I figured you might, and I was thinking, Jenkins and Estrella might be able to, come up with a can or two. Yeah, just as long as we got, 4 or 5 cans, because those do have pretty good range on them. Roxanne says, DA, could you use a small hand camera? Probably. I mean, any cameras we can get. I've got a
DSLR.
GoPro. I've got a DSLR and a GoPro. The GoPro I'm probably going to mount to the back of my pack, so it's facing behind me.
I got a GoPro.
There you go.
John gave it to me. I ain't never used it.
I got one, and I got like you've seen the array of. We got ways to. We have ways to mount our cameras, shall we say?
And something else I would like to do is go to that campsite, and they say it's shut down. You can't camp there, but I don't know if you can, if it's blocked off, if you can still get in it. If we can still get in there and not get chased out during the day, I want to set up at one of those picnic sites and run the drone. Send the drone out in ever increasing circles until I got to bring it back and replace the battery and do it again.
Oh, this is a good idea. Check this out. Miriam says, take foam insulation for the hard cast for hard to plaster prints.
It's a good idea.
Good idea. I never heard of that.
I've got some plaster of Paris, but we need to get something dries a little faster because that plaster of Paris generally takes 3 or 4 hours to set up.
Is she talking about that spray foam?
That's spray foam. Spray it in there and just smash it down.
The way that stuff
that destroyed the
stuff, it won't. I mean, it would do in a pinch, but
that's what she's saying. For hard to plaster, if it's something that's like you couldn't plaster, maybe spray that in the nooks and crannies and it'd take the shape. Who knows?
Dr. 45 says use the tiger trick with face masks on the back of your hats. That ain't a bad idea.
No, I would be scared about that because I would think it would expand out and deform the track and mess it up. I don't.
I hear what you're saying.
I mean, like
house
I said, yep, house in the house. But
house, I don't say on the air what exact date we're going to go. But if you want to be in on it, brother, I'm already planning on having an extended phone conversation with Kuhnbo tomorrow. Already talked to Kuhnbo yesterday. Where I'm calling him tomorrow afternoon. I've got a bunch of questions. And to be honest, if he wants to come up, I would welcome him.
All right.
Old dude was a NASA scientist. He's probably forgot more ways to cast a track than we'll know.
I would probably concur with that.
All he says sets in like 5 minutes. Mr. Duffy says fix him up some barbecue wreck. But yeah, Greg, I'm going to be calling Kuhnbo tomorrow, so sometime after 3. So if you're not busy, might see if he wants to either come by your house or you go over there. We can make that a 3-way conversation. But I want to pick his brain on some of this stuff because some of this is a little outside my comfort zone. We went into Combs Ferry with a plan, but I have a very, very interesting feeling that this is going to make Combs Ferry look like the first time we just drove through Joe Bald. I think this one's going to be a lot more intense.
Yep.
William says you got wasp spray. And if we can't get any OC, we'll definitely get wasp spray. But I'm pretty sure I've got enough contacts. I could probably come up with 6 or 8 cans of OC. He says wasp spray good for 20-foot spray. Dude, I've sprayed people on the opposite tier with the law enforcement grade stuff, like 40 feet away, and hit them square in the face. Wyatt says you're not making this sound any safer, DA. Well, Wyatt, I don't think it's going to be safe. I mean, you know that area as well as I do, just from its reputation. Between mountain lions and black bears, there's already enough dangerous down there. And if those kids that first encountered these things were out there planting marijuana, odds are good that's probably not the only one that's done it, because that is pretty deep into Mark Twain. So even without the possibility of running into these cat things, we could be running into some pretty hairy territory. But if those things are there and they're as active as I think they are, they've probably ran most of those out. And yes, this flamethrower. I don't have a flamethrower, but we could probably make one. Doc, I can't hear you. You're muted, brother.
Sorry, I forgot. I said I'm actually looking at flamethrowers right now.
Playing around. And Kitty.
I mean,
We better have a flamethrower than a can of Lysol and a Zippo.
Correct.
Hey, working dog soldiers.
For dog soldiers.
I mean,
maybe we should get Doc a little laser light so he can keep him distracted.
I tell you what, from personal experience and things that I've seen, there's not too much out there that enjoys being fully involved, with flame. So,
hey, getting set on fire is a big deterrent for just about anything.
pretty much, nothing wants to be on fire, as far as I know. Nothing living wants to be on fire. So.
William says, I used to love drinking the OC spray, puts hair on your chest. There's some of that stuff that we used to put in chili, like the old red cans of Sabres. It was just food grade oleoresin capsicum. We would spray about half a can of that into chili. But you won't do that with Fox. The Fox Lab stuff is not for human consumption, and it's 5.3 million Scoville heat units. That Fox stuff, I wouldn't wish that off on my worst nightmare. That stuff's brutal. Just a guy says maybe law enforcement flashbangs. Doc's got some, so we got that in covered. It says nothing likes fire on itself. But even if we get down there and all we find is tracks, I want to document literally everything we find. Everything from, and I also want to make sure we've got plenty of evidence collection gloves and bags, because this one we need to be more prepared than we were when we went into Combs Ferry. I thought we were pretty well prepared for what happened at Combs Ferry, but then we learned a lot about how to do one of those from Combs Ferry.
And like you said, I had a box of gloves in the truck that we drove down in, and we just left them sitting there.
Yeah, like I said, man, we learned our lessons. With each one of these, we're going to get better at it. And so I'm gonna start compiling a list, and then I'll make copies and send it to everybody, or just post it in the group thing. Say these are the things we need, and anybody that's part of the group, if you've got any of those items, and want to let us use them for the expedition, that's great. I mean we'd have to buy, but at the very least, we're going to need at least a couple of chainsaws and some axes, just in case we get a downed tree trying to block us into a trail. And if everybody's got to exit the vehicle armed while a couple guys cut up the tree, we're still getting our asses out of there.
Yes.
Bobby Casey says 12 gauge with Dragon's Breath rounds. Well, right now it's pretty dry in the Mark Twain. Last thing I want to do is to cause a forest fire.
Because only you can prevent forest fires.
So we're going to have to be real careful about anything that is, creates flame. And a Dragon's Breath will certainly do it.
So flare guns are out of the question.
But only if they're going straight up.
Or into the junk. I mean, I read somewhere that worked.
Yeah, also a good deterrent. Oh my goodness gracious!
I can't remember where I read that, but I read somewhere that worked. Doc, did you read that somewhere too?
I've heard that a time or two. Yes.
And Doc says I got a body camera you can use, has at least 8 hours of battery life if you want it. Might take you up on that, my friend.
What's up, Brother William?
Okay. We actually did have a topic tonight, y'all.
Since William's here, I'm gonna change hats, as he wasn't here the other night when I was wearing it. I want him to know how much I like wearing that one, because William made this hat band for me.
That's pretty.
It's really nice, Clark.
I like
Really
it.
nice.
I like it a lot. Greg House says, Robbie, how far can you throw a gasoline balloon that'll touch off a dragon's breath?
I did play baseball in high school, so
Gasoline balloon, because gas will probably eat that balloon, just dissolve it. However, propane tanks are something else entirely.
I used to throw a good tight spiral. I think Doc, you a good shot. I think I can put it out there if you can get it.
Yeah. I think I'm going to bring a burn kit on this mission. That's sound.
You got a 5-gallon tub of Sylvanine cream.
Yeah, you just roll him around. He's going to be fine.
Paint roller to slather him down.
Yeah, he's going to be fine. Why does he look like a frosted donut? Don't worry about it.
It'd be all right in the morning.
Shh. Don't worry about it.
He couldn't throw as far as he thought he used to, so
Yeah,
he ran it out there.
He looks like the mummy.
What was it they used to tell us about white phosphorus grenades? The average soldier could throw 130 meters, but the blast range is 35.
Yeah. Oh, Willie Pete.
Your ass better be running or in a foxhole when you chuck that son of a gun.
You are not wrong. You are not wrong. Oh,
because you are in the effective range when you release it.
And we're not talking about IEDs here, folks, okay? Good Lord.
Oh, definitely not.
Yeah.
But I think
phosphorus, I think we were soldiers.
Oh, yeah.
Woo! Lord have mercy.
Yeah.
Just a guy says, DA, is this replacing the previous summer field investigation you guys were planning, or is that still on? Oh, that's definitely still on. I want to get back down to Moon Valley. I want to shoot some video down there. We're not going to be able to get Doc within 100 yards of the dollhouse village, but I want to shoot some images down there, and I also want to do what Robbie suggested. I want to see if we can park somewhere down the road and maybe sneak that drone in close enough to maybe look at some of the VIN numbers on those cars. Take a steady hand on that drone.
Was Doc on there when you pulled up the?
Yeah, the map, the overhead view
of
where the cars were.
Yeah,
the cars were. Okay, I couldn't remember because that blew my freaking mind.
Yeah, there's a lot more cars out there than we thought.
Yeah, that's some pretty scary stuff to be quite honest.
Dr. 45 says he'd like to go to Moon Valley with us. Brother, yeah, that's going to be a woolly one.
Well, I don't usually disagree with you, DA, but I think we can get Doc within 100 yards of the dollhouse, but it's just we're going to be moving at 100 miles an hour as we go by it.
Yeah, he will not slow down.
You are not far off the mark, my good friend.
The only way Doc will even be facing it is if he's drifting past it.
Yeah. I'll have a NASCAR slide going on for sure. So I'll make Dale proud. Hey,
it's the beginning of the month, so I'm giving out a total of 10 guest memberships to the channel, and the first one is William Nighthawk got a membership to the channel.
Awesome.
Let's see what we got. Serenity's Gate, KC. Who else? Kelly Conley, Robin Grogan. There we go. Awesome. And you know what? I liked that 5 so much, I'm going to do it again. Here they go. Send in 5 more.
Look at that. Your benevolence knows no limits, my good compatriots. That means he did something nice, Robbie.
What he said.
Oh, God. Every time I read it, I think exactly these moments. Warms my heart.
Yep.
Makes me laugh. I heard you talking about you laughed, scared the dog.
No, scared the cat.
Scared the cat.
Because I did. I complete total silence just reading this morning. I lost it.
Yeah, y'all got some zingers for sure. Mostly at my expense, but yeah, I appreciate it. All right. What are we talking about? We've been talking for 50 minutes.
Jerry Carter says, I've often wondered about Bigfoot versus a silverback gorilla. My money'd be on the Bigfoot. Because pound for pound, if their strengths are comparable, the Bigfoot's going to outweigh it by 2 times. At least. Yeah, 800 to 1,000 pound Bigfoot versus a 400 to 500 pound gorilla. My money's on Bigfoot.
Yeah, I mean, just think of how it would play out if a silverback was fighting a chimp.
Correct.
That's about.
Yeah.
About the size of it.
It'd be.
Yarp.
There's no replacement for displacement.
Dang right.
That counts in engine size and in critters too. Woo! Lord have mercy. That wind is winding out there.
Is it?
Yeah. We're probably going to get some thunder.
It's hot and humid here.
Yeah. Well, it's hot, but it's like convection oven hot. It was like 90 degrees and 12% humidity with a 20-mile-an-hour wind when I was out mowing the grass today, and that felt amazing. So, yeah. Oh, yeah, we're going to get us some thunder bumpers in a little bit. Come on. That's some thunder bumpers blowing in. All right.
Well, what do you boys think about maybe reading a few encounter stories?
I think that's fantastical.
All right.
Well,
I'm just gonna pull one up at random and read it and let you boys pick some. We'll just take some from Map Squatch tonight. Those are as good as any.
Map Squatch.
So let me just grab one and
throw my spectacles on.
This one's from down in Wyatt's neck of the woods, down on the White River in Arkansas. Supposedly happened in Baxter County, Arkansas in the summer of 1980. But I was only 13 at the time and didn't pay much attention to the roads. The dirt road came down around a hill and leveled off along the east bank of the river. The other side of the river was inaccessible due to a very steep bluff. The bottom of the bluff was exposed rock with slight outcropping from erosion. About 50 feet up the bluff, vegetation began with ever-increasing pine trees and vegetation that continued at least another 200-plus yards to the top. This part of the river was on a long, gradual bend that obstructed lengthy views along the river in either direction. I have fished this river many times as an adult, but I've yet to find the exact same spot again. When I was about 13, I went trout fishing with my mother and aunt on the White River in Arkansas. We were staying at a motel in Bull Shoals. One morning, we drove to a remote area of the river to fish via an unknown dirt road. We stopped to fish at a bend in the river. On the opposite side of the river, the west side, was a tall stone bluff with a slight overcrop from erosion. On the east side was flatter land with 12 to 20 foot thin scrub trees about 20 to 30 feet from the water as the river was low. While my mother and aunt were fishing off the bank, I decided to try my luck further up the river, about 300 yards away and just out of sight of my mother. While I was fishing along the bank, I began to hear rustling sounds in the trees and shrubs behind me. I looked in the direction of the noise and could see the tops of these thin trees moving as if something were walking through them and pushing them to the side. But due to the thickness of the vegetation, I couldn't see what was actually moving the trees. I stood and observed this activity for 2 to 3 minutes. Then I began to hear grunting type sounds that were very deep and substantial sounding. The sounds were similar to, but different than the grunts that sound like a bull would make. The movement of the trees began to appear as if something were shaking the trees at this point instead of just moving through them. It appeared that whatever was making the noises was only about 10 feet inside the brush, yet I still couldn't see what it was. Feeling nervous, I decided I should return to my mother's side and began walking back toward her. As I did, whatever was in the brush moved with me step for step. As I walked, the movement of the trees seemed to be more forceful and the sounds of large branches breaking as it moved. When I got within sight of my mother, about 50 yards, all activity stopped. I informed my mother there was something in the brush following me, but she shrugged it off. Within a few minutes, we decided to leave as we weren't catching any fish. Hey, being paced in the woods, that's a pretty common behavior.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's happened to me and Johnny several times.
Happened to me.
And honestly, truth be told, it's probably happened to all of us more than we know.
Happened to me in LBL, had something pacing me. It's happened to me in the Mark Twain, too.
Well, it happened to us out there at Combs Ferry, too. We had something out there. Did we not?
Yeah, there was more than one pacing us at Combs Ferry.
We were getting paced from each side.
I think we were being warned in no uncertain terms that our presence was not welcome, and we needed to, as Doc would say, seek our entertainment elsewhere.
Yeah, and then it wasn't until that dude and his dogs came up, and then that was like, oh, there's too many people here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the sounds just kind of faded away.
Yeah, and the noise came back. That was the thing. That was when the noise came back. It was when the dogs and that dude showed up.
Yeah.
Oof, mercy. Robbie, you got one?
I sure do. And this is from the Highlands of North Carolina in Macon County. This was December 7th, 2002. And it's a Class B. And it says there's some details removed at the request of the witness, so I'll do my best with it. It was the first week of December in 2002. I was camping with my friend, and that's edited out, in Macon County, North Carolina. We'd been there 2 days, and we decided to take one of our usual late-night walks. Because of the weather, we were one of only 3 sites still occupied. There was an ice storm on the way, and we were planning to leave early the next morning. We had crossed the river and walked about 200 yards to the gates when we were startled by a scream that made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. I spent my entire life in the outdoors, much of it in the wilderness areas, and I've never heard anything like this in my life. I was carrying my sidearm and immediately drew it and aimed it with my mag light in the direction of the scream. The next thing we knew, several rocks were thrown in our direction. To say we were frightened would be an understatement. We went back to camp and left early the next morning. Since then, we've returned several times, but there have been no further incidents, although we sometimes feel uneasy in one particular area. That's like we said before, some of that typical behavior, and you get somebody who's been in the woods and in the area the whole time or his whole life and knows what's in the area, and it's not somebody that just says, oh, I don't know what it was. I've been in that area. I've never heard anything like that in that area.
No. All right. I got one for y'all. This is from my home state of Mississippi. This is in Homachito National Forest. It's out in Franklin County, Mississippi. It's kind of western, midwestern Mississippi, going towards the river. This was in the wintertime, and this was off of Highway 33, turn on the Bunkley Road, go about 5 miles, and turn on number 101. This is a government road in the Homachito National Forest. First, I'll say that these creatures exist without a doubt. I have not discussed this with many people because it would do no good. And in order to understand, someone must experience the encounter personally. I really love the deer hunt, and season had just been open a week or so, and I was not old enough to drive at this point, but jumped at a chance to go hunt with a couple of my brothers and their older friends. We arrived at the area well before daylight. The hike to our individual stands was approximately 1 to 1.5 miles. And one of the men left us when we passed the stand. The other man continued till he reached his stand. It was still dark as I crossed a small field to take a stand in the far timber halfway. About halfway across the field, I started getting an eerie feeling of being watched. I stopped to shine the flashlight scanning the tree line, but I saw nothing. And I continued maybe 100 yards inside the wood line and found a large tree that'd be suitable for a backrest. So I settled into that to wait on daylight. It was really cold, and the frost from the night before had made the fallen oak leaves impossible to move in without making tremendous noise. At about 9 a.m., I spotted a deer on a small knoll about 75, 80 yards away. He was motionless, staring in my direction. I remained still, but the deer turned and bolted away into the thicket away from me. There was a steady breeze in my face, so I knew he couldn't have smelled me, and I had not even blinked. While I was trying to figure out what happened, I began to hear heavy breathing behind me, but it was not close. However, it began to get louder and louder, and I heard it coming through the leaves. And looking over my left shoulder, I could see my shadow behind my shadow. I could see my shadow in the shadow of the tree I was sitting against, and the shadow of a large upright creature directly behind me. Startled, I quickly jumped up and sidestepped back and away from the tree. Not 5 feet away stood a creature looking at me. He was covered with medium-length pine straw-colored hair. His face did not have any hair on it, and his arms hung down to almost his knees and were at his sides. He had his eyes were coal black, and he stood between 7 and 8 feet tall. Now, I couldn't guess his weight. We only made eye contact for a couple of seconds, and I was at that time in stride, vacating the area, leaving my gun behind. I yelled the whole time I was running, and one of the men heard me yelling, and I was in the field and ran out of the tree line. He asked me what happened, and I told him, and we went and got the other man and returned to retrieve my gun. And they laughed and picked at me until we reached the tree where I'd laid my gun. In the leaves by the tree were very large, deep tracks that measured over 14 inches long and about at least 5 inches wide. And we didn't have a tape measure, but we could see the direction of the travel through the leaves that we followed about 75 yards. Nobody was saying a word now. And coming to the creek where the tracks dropped off the bank, you could see the tracks clearly in the sand and where the creature had slid down the side of the drop-off. We immediately left, and to this day, I have not returned to that particular area. The men also never mentioned this to anyone, to my knowledge. And I have seen many bears and other wildlife in this area, but I assure you, at 5 feet away, there is no case for mistaken identity.
They ever go back for their gun, I wonder?
Well, that's why they found
Yeah. They went back and got it, and they were picking at him. They were picking at him until they saw the tracks where he had dropped his gun. And then they were like, holy crap. So, yeah, I mean, that sounds like a typical Mississippi, what we call down there, the skunk ape, because they have kind of that cinnamon-colored hair. And, yeah, it happens, man. It happens a lot. Faux show. More than people think. Kind of interesting. Very interesting.
Definitely. See how that would be a butt pucker and brown pants moment.
Dude, all he wanted to do was get him a little deer hunt, and then, I mean, maybe that thing was hunting deer too, but obviously the whitetail out there, figured something was awry at 75 to 80 yards. And since deer have, pretty keen eyesight, I don't know.
Yep.
That's scary.
Yeah.
That's really scary.
That's the last thing I want to be trapped up a tree with at the base of my deer stand.
Yeah. It'd be bad enough to have a black bear in there, but good Lord, man.
Well, he was on the ground. He was leaned up against a tree, sitting on the ground.
Yeah. I mean,
DA, I was thinking, could these orange-colored Sasquatch be specialized prey hunters, like how tigers have orange fur, but it's camouflage to their prey? It's entirely possible. As with most colors of body hair or fur, it's all a natural adaptation toward
the area they live in.
Yeah, the area they live in is adaptive camouflage.
Because in that area, there's a lot of there's hard bottom flats, but there's a lot of soft bottom flats too. You got a lot of pine flats through that area in the national forest. Mm-hmm. And in the wintertime, when you've got, you've got dead dead pine needles, that stuff is all rust colored, and that hair on that thing blended right into it. I mean, it was in a hard bottom flat. There's always a mixture of vegetation there.
Think about it, Doc. You've seen it just like I have, and anybody from, around these areas, anywhere in the South like that, that's got those pine in the wintertime when those needles hang or fall and they hang on the trees, and that would be almost picture perfect camouflage for something that color. To stand there, not move, and be hid in.
Yeah.
Well, because like when we went to winter survival, they were like, if you got your white overpants and you're running through the woods, you got your white overpants, wear your woodland top, or at that point it was woodland, but wear your camo top and your your snow pants, because you'll blend in more as you're moving through the woods. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. So, but yeah, interesting, man. Interesting little story.
This comes down to adaptive camouflage.
Yeah, 100%. Yep. I mean, it's just like those bighorns on that video that Robbie has pulled up many times, and you pulled up.
I got that video queued up if you want me to play it.
I mean, yeah, adaptive camouflage is a big thing. Look at deer, dude. You ain't gonna see a deer until that sucker does what?
Moves.
Yeah, I have been staring right at him, literally up in my stand, staring right at him.
And that's what this video is. It's a hunter's video, and he misses his shot.
Yeah. Holy crap.
That video is just a perfect example.
Yeah, it is. 100%.
Of adaptive camouflage. They're not moving, and you don't know they're there. And yeah, you can see one or two that aren't as well placed, but you don't see the other 14 or 15 that are well hit.
Good Lord, it was a stampede.
Yeah, for sure.
That video just never ceases to get me.
No, man.
Oh no.
And it is the absolute textbook perfect example of adaptive camouflage.
It's better than that military video. They're like, how many scout snipers do you see in the field? And you can't see them, but they're like 5 or 6 guys stand up. This one, there's like a whole flipping herd. I'm like, holy crap. A lot.
Yeah, definitely a lot. I suppose it is my turn to read one. Y'all ready for this?
We be.
This is a memory told of a daylight sighting while mushroom hunting along Happy Hollow Road near Gorham. That's in Jackson County, Illinois, from back in 1978. At Happy Hollow Road south of Gorham. I was out mushroom hunting and had my small son with me. I was standing on a hillside. He was standing on the other side of the creek behind a tree, which I didn't know at the time. I had my back to it. My face was facing the road. I had found some mushrooms, and I was bending over picking them up when I saw a flash of movement behind me, which to me kind of looked like a grapevine because I wasn't focused on the actual creature. And it looked like just a grapevine had moved briefly to the side of the tree. Then I saw a bigger part of it step out from the tree. I saw its knee and its shoulder, and it went up and went on up and saw that. Sorry, this is badly written. Saw its face, which was hairy from top to bottom. I didn't see anything that would resemble a flesh tone. It was black. I saw its eyes blink. It had white around its eyes. I could see that part. I guess there might have been lighter and darker colors in its face, but it was all hairy. When I raised up and turned around to look, it stepped behind a tree where I couldn't see it anymore. I grabbed my son and ran to the car as fast as I could go and went home and got the shotgun, then went back down there. I found some footprints where it had stood on the side of the creek, but that was about 30 yards from me. It was the scariest, most ominous thing I've ever seen. I didn't feel like it was going to come and attack me. It was probably as freaked out as I was. We went our separate ways immediately.
Almost sounds like you and the grizzly bear.
Yeah.
Each other.
Oh crap, it's a bear. Oh crap, it's a human. And we went our opposite directions.
Yeah, and I think there's probably a lot of them. Sorry, guys, I had to put an ice pack underneath. My computer's getting hot. I think there's probably a lot of them. Contact the one with the hunter that I had in Mississippi. How many accidental run-ins do they have? And they're like, oh crap, you know. Let's separate.
Yeah, and we've talked about it before. People are so conditioned when they see something like that to automatically think it's a bear. So how many people actually see something that isn't a bear that they just automatically, my eyes are playing tricks on me, it was a bear, and never report anything? You know, right. Just leave it. I guarantee you there's at least easy 150 to 250% more sightings that happen that we just never hear about because people are just like, oh, well, that was just a bear.
Well, and they also don't want to,
Where's
they
that?
don't want to call attention to themselves either. Oh, of course it was a bear. My eyes, you know, it was definitely a bear.
So. Ready for me to read another nerd DA?
Sure, go for it.
All right. This one is from Macon County, North Carolina, Class A sighting. October 1st of 1973. Western North Carolina, between the Cullowhee and Franklin. The area is known as Panthertown Valley. The area was a very remote dirt road in the mountains. We had traveled down several and had even been turned away from one by a man with a shotgun. My girlfriend and I were riding the back roads when we noticed some small pine trees moving. Initially, I thought it was wind, but suddenly a figure emerged. My girlfriend grabbed my arm in fear, and we were confronted by a large creature crossing the road. The creature turned and stared at us. It had icy blue eyes. It was about 7.5 feet tall. My guess is it weighed between 350 to 450 pounds. It took 2 steps across the road, pausing to look when it was halfway across. This was 1973, and I believe the area is known, as I said earlier, as Panthertown Valley. I cannot forget those icy blue eyes. That's strange. I've never heard
blue-eyed
anybody.
One?
Yeah. Have you?
Either y'all? It had cataracts.
Cataracts. Seems like I've heard of a werewolf that may have icy blue eyes, but I never heard of a Bigfoot, Adam.
It was Hilda and Margolin's offspring.
You'll have that.
Raspberry preserves.
That's right.
Okay. I got one.
A real quick disclaimer before I play this next clip. This falls under fair use. We are discussing this for purposes of discussing the video. So this definitely falls under fair use. We're just reviewing this. We don't own the video, but we are letting you know that we're only playing it for review purposes only. So,
you want me to read that whole thing, DA? I'll read it.
It was up on screen long enough. I don't think anybody was reading it anyway. But this is a stabilized excerpt from the Paul Freeman film.
Oh, there he goes. Jesus.
See that? It stopped in front of that tree and just disappears. It didn't cloak. It didn't go through a portal. Scotty didn't beam it up. It stopped in front of a tree and disappeared.
I think that's the first time I've ever heard or actually heard the video. I've seen like with no audio. You can hear the fear in his voice.
Yeah, he shook up.
You can. Hell yeah, you can. Dude, shaking like a dog shit in a peach pit, man. Good Lord. Yeah, you
and
can
I
hear
got another one. I got another one for you boys. Woo. Give me just a second to upload.
Gives me the willies. That was close too, boys. That was like 25, 30 yards.
Okay, this one I don't think there's any audio to this. This is taken from a TikTok channel. They said it was a trail cam video. It was sent to me by someone asking me if I thought it was legit, and I do. Simply because if this was AI, we would see a lot different artifacts. This is so well. I'll just let you judge for yourself and take a look at this. This is a fairly short video. It would be even shorter if it weren't for all the text that they put in. But let's watch this video, and I know Robbie's already seen it. I don't think Doc has. I'm going to play this video, then I want to get both their reactions. So this is about a minute 10 long, something like that. But most of that is the text. But the text is kind of important. So I'm going to play this for you guys, and then we're going to discuss it.
I'm gonna tell
Sorry,
you,
guys, I thought I was
that's a lot
muted.
different.
Oh, we got your honest reaction.
Oh, yeah, dude. Sorry.
I mean,
I thought I was muted, but man,
Hey,
holy shit.
That the other night when I watched it was on my phone. You couldn't see it that clearly on my phone. I was like,
Dude.
I just about said it the same time Doc did. I was like,
Yeah, I enlarged my screen on my computer here. Dude, that's a big unit, man.
And that's why I don't think it's AI, because you can see the hair, you can see you can see the plants in front of it. AI doesn't do good with depth.
mm-mm.
Mm. Mm.
I think that's a legit video.
Well,
And Banff National Park's in Alberta, Canada.
well, there's been a lot of sightings there, but I mean, if it's not a legit video, and there's so much fakery out there, but if it's not a legit video, it's a damn good fake.
Yeah, it is a damn good fake.
And I don't think you can just offhand just say, "Oh, it was on TikTok." That means it's fake just because it's on TikTok, because it came from somewhere before.
Right. That is not the full video. That is a clip that somebody put on TikTok.
Yeah, that's been around for a minute. Yeah, and Randall Kildare says that one's been around for a while now. Yeah, so that was just something that somebody put on their TikTok channel. So yeah, that's a big.
I'll ignore the fact that it was on TikTok. That video looks legit.
Yeah, that's a big son of a gun, Hoss. Woo wee.
And so when I watched it on the phone the other night when he sent it to us, all I could see was the eyes. I couldn't really, on that little small screen on my phone, I didn't see it moving out like that. And
now that you guys can see where it is, I want to play it again. I'm going to try to. Oh, I can't skip it because I've got it uploaded. I'm going to play it again, and I want you to guys watch how early that eye shine actually shows up. Well, you know exactly where to look now.
Yeah,
watch this.
I ain't gonna lie, the hair on the back of my neck stood up with that one.
Yeah, it did me too, son.
Yeah. Now watch it again and pay particular. Now that you know exactly where that thing's going to show up, watch. I get the heebie-jeebies every time I see those eyes.
Yeah, that gave me the creeps, man.
To answer Stan 381, he said the legs look small. I think what you're looking at is that shadow on its knee. That leg it looks to be at least a foot thick. Because there's a shadow right. As soon as he said, "I look," there's a shadow. Well, there's a shadow on the knee, and if you just look from the shadow this way, it looks like it's a really small leg. But if you look behind the shadow, you can still see muscle and hair moving behind it. So it's like you can see this part if you focus on the shadow here, but there's also this much here behind the shadow that if you look at it again, look.
Those dome tents, they don't really have enough room for you to stand up, but they're still about 5 foot tall.
Yeah, just a guy who said, "Is it me or does it seem like it's staring straight at the camera?" It really does, because let's think about this. We've talked about this before.
That's IR. It sees the IR.
They are exactly.
What happened when you flipped the eye? You were looking through night vision, and they were just sitting there. You flipped the IR on, and what happened?
It was like a beacon, man. Yeah, they started shuffling back because it was like a searchlight.
Yep.
Dang.
Yeah, that's reacting to the IR. It's looking right at that camera.
Man,
and even though it's farther back, if I'm right and that dome tent is about roughly 5 feet high, that means that thing's got to be every bit of 8 feet.
Yeah. And Susan said she didn't see anything. DA, next show or whatever, maybe you could do a screen grab on that thing and circle where that thing was. So it feels like we're doing pareidolia stuff here, but
that ain't pareidolia.
No, but maybe circle that thing out. And
I will try. I'm not a great video editor, but I might be able to get it frozen on the screen and take a screenshot and blow it up.
That Joker is stepping out of the woods. That's what's scary to me. Is it's not just, it would be enough if it was just standing there and you see the outline. But that son of a gun is moving towards the tent and the camera.
Yeah, he was. He was coming through the bushes. Woo! Yeah, boy.
William, while you're
that's a big unit.
Yeah, William, since you're in the chat, I got a question for you. Do you have any contacts on Pine Ridge? The reason I asked is I was told not too long ago by somebody that lives up that way that they had heard a story coming off of Pine Ridge that the tribal police had actually opened fire on one of these things. I want to know if you can verify that story, because apparently it got hairy on the reservation. But nobody's wanting to talk about it.
Nobody ever does. Sadly.
I mean, I'm with you though, Doc. If that's fake, that's one of the best fakes I've ever seen.
Yeah,
I would wholeheartedly agree. If it's fake, it's one of the best ones I've seen.
And I just don't think it's fake.
Mondoc sent me some link for topo maps, and I'll send it to y'all separate on the group text.
Sounds good. Mike from Abnormals here. Hey, Mike. Thanks for popping in, brother.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah, I'd like Mike to chime in what his opinion of that video is if he saw it.
Yeah, Mike, did you see the video? I'd love to hear what you think of it.
Yeah, too. That to me is the most telling part. It's not just a static, stationary thing. That thing is actually moving, because you see it moving the branches. The branches are moving as it's pushing past it.
You could see it blink. You could see it blink coming out of the bushes.
Just Ryan says, so PSA, eyes shine in the woods means trouble. Well, it definitely means you got something watching you, because humans don't have tapetum lucidum.
Yeah, that's something.
Whatever's looking at you ain't a human, because humans don't have eye shine.
That thing was freaking huge, dude. That's why I exclaimed in the way I did, because I was like, dude, that thing is massive, man.
Yeah, and watching it just like appear out of the darkness.
Yeah.
Bam.
Yep.
Well, and the good thing is they've got the shots before that shows it wasn't there, so it walked up.
Look what Brian Barber had to say.
It flashed too quick. Oh, there it is.
Correct.
Yep.
And, yeah, Brian certainly had his share of sightings. I would say I would gladly accept his belief on it. William Nighthawk said earlier that it was legit and it's from Canada.
And if Greg's still in the chat, house, pop up, give your 2 cents on what you think.
Well, do y'all remember the dudes? Do y'all remember the dudes that were hiking up there and they saw this son of a gun down in like this big draw? It was, and they were zooming in on it, and it was big even at distance, and it was going through hip deep snow like it was nothing up through this mountain. Big old shaggy son of a gun.
William is confirming it. Oh, he said last time I was there, one was looking through a window 10 feet off the ground, and the res cops got it on thermal.
Holy shnikes!
I told you I heard something happen on Pine Ridge. But unless you know somebody, they don't talk about it. They don't talk about it with outsiders.
I think Bobby hit the nail on the head. He came out of the bushes like, "You want some of this, human?"
Yeah,
man.
Someone. Oh, let's see. Buster Phillips says, "DA, everyone wants to see the first one again, if you can, please." Which first one? The Freeman film or the doll sheep video?
I think they're about the Freeman.
DA, Miss Nay sent you a screenshot. She's already.
Oh, Miss Lene, she is on it.
Yes, she is.
Let me. Did you send that to my my Facebook? Well, look what Mike said. I'm gonna have to open up my Facebook to get that. If you want to read that while I'm getting the screenshot, I'll let you have it.
DA, I just looked at it. It's way too tall to be human, and the eye shine also is not human, but also the eyes too far apart to be human, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Oof. Let me bring up the image that Miss Lene just sent me. This is a screenshot from that TikTok video. I'm going to bring this up, and I don't have anything circled in it, but I will certainly be moving the cursor around it to indicate where it's at. So you guys should be able to see. You can see where my mouse is, where it's tracking. You can see the eyes right here, and those are set pretty dang far apart. You can see the hand right there. You can see the fur. Dude, you can almost make out facial features.
You can even see the glossiness on the fur.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Curtis was saying that earlier. That it had a sheen on it.
Yeah, you could definitely see the sheen. Dead gum.
That's as far as I can zoom in. You can kind of see just the biggest hint of like where the nose is.
Just you can zoom right back out on that one.
That's freaking unreal, dude.
Bro,
that is just amazing.
That thing's big, dude. Look at the head. And at least 3 inches above the eyes, maybe 4 above the eyes is the top of the head. That's way up.
Hey.
That's about 8 foot tallish.
If this is, say, 5 feet right here at the top of the tent,
okay,
come over there, that's below waist level. And it's still probably 10 feet behind there.
Yeah. So you got the angle of the dangle. It's a good. That's a big young.
As Doc would say, that's a big unit.
Yeah, it is.
And I don't think anybody needs a red circle to see the hand and the eyes. I'm going to zoom her in one more time.
Look at that.
You can almost looking at you. That is wide set eyes, tapetum lucidum right there. Human eyes would be half that, if not less.
And they don't have tapetum lucidum either.
That's right. Humans don't have tapetum lucidum.
Brian says that video took him back to his first encounter.
I bet.
That'll give you the heebies and the jeebies.
Yes, sir. Whew. Mercy. Mercy day, as my Uncle Garland used to say, or he still says, mercy day.
Arkansas says he's.
I was saying, did we have a theory on them noticing cameras? Not like the fact that it's something unnatural in their environment. Yeah, we thoroughly believe that they can see the infrared.
Because
See that because there's lots of cases of them reacting to it.
Yeah, us in particular, we actually, well, Doc actually witnessed them react to it. We couldn't see it because it was pitch black, but he could actually see them react to it.
As soon as I turn my IR illuminator on my night vision, they vamoosed.
And that's when we didn't have any lights on.
No, we had no lights on whatsoever.
AB says, I've never seen a Bigfoot or dog man, but when I was a kid, I seen a being that had no skin, was all muscle and veins. So I know for sure things we don't understand exist. I don't know what that would be, but I would probably be having a brown pants moment if I saw something like that.
Or if it could have been
Bigfoot
a bear with a
mange.
mange.
Or Bigfoot with a mange.
Or a Bigfoot with a mange.
Donaldson says, we're talking about the height. He says, that's if the level of ground is level. If it's level ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, that thing, however you slice it, that is one big rascal.
Well, I mean, it's been confirmed. They grow them big up yonder, up in Canada.
Well, look at bears in Canada. Bears get bigger than they do in the lower 48 because they rely on a much more protein-rich diet. They have to because it's cold.
And look what Nighthawk just said. They can smell the plastic and batteries in the cameras better than seeing them. I've never thought about that.
I think it's a combination of all that stuff. I think they can see in the infrared spectrum, but we talked about this years ago because remember, think back 2-3 years when we started talking about this. We were talking about fitting a camera inside of a box that was made from wood from that area to try to, mask as much of that as we could because we theorize and it just makes sense. I mean, animals have far more superior senses than we do.
All that aside, if somebody snuck into your house and hid a camera in the corner of your living room wall, how long do you think it'd be before you noticed it?
Yeah.
You're going to walk in and go, what the hell is that? Because you just know what's supposed to be there in your home.
Yeah.
I mean, I've moved crap. My wife gone, who put this there? It doesn't go there.
Well, you got the tent there, so they already know something is not right because there's the tent. So to your point, DA, if you walked in and saw a big box sitting in front of your living room, you're automatically going to be on high alert. Okay, what the hell? Then you start looking around, you see other things. I mean, that's his living room.
Yeah, fact. Wow, that was good. That's one of the better ones I've seen, man. Especially just like that hunter in Mississippi. He said, "Hey, at 5 feet, there's no mistaking that thing for a bear."
Well, I don't think there's any mistaking that thing for a bear either.
Right. Well, like Robbie's his encounter he had when he was, what were you, 8?
8 or 9, yeah.
Yeah, 8 or 9. How far away were you from that sucker, like face to face, mano a mano?
Oh, we never did play the Freeman film again.
About 10
I never
yards
did play the Freeman film again.
Oh, yeah, because little Patty wanted to see the Freeman film.
Yeah, I'm going to run the Freeman film again. And this is another great example of just adaptive camouflage. If what we believe is true, that they do have those clear hair shafts, those clear hair shafts will pick up and redirect the color of anything around it. And I think that is exactly what happens here.
Well, before you play that, remember the other night we were talking about that and somebody was asking about, so if that's the case, what happens at night? I think you just saw it. It makes it look like a freaking ink blot floating in the sky, in the
shadow within a shadow.
That right there. That's what happens at night. It makes
like
it
Archer,
darker,
slightly blacker than black.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but here's the Freeman film. You watch this thing. Freeman's filming it, and he watches it walking across the screen, and then it stops in front of a coniferous tree and just disappears. And as he keeps talking and it realizes he's still there and he's not leaving, then it starts moving again, and you can see it plain as day. But it, like I said, it didn't cloak, it didn't teleport, it didn't have an invisibility cloak like Harry Potter. Scotty didn't beam it up to the Enterprise. It just stopped moving and vanishes. So here's the Paul Freeman footage.
Oh, there he goes. Jesus.
Still there the whole time. It just stopped moving.
That's crazy.
It's nightmare fuel. To think you could possibly be standing 5 feet from one and it ain't moving and you just don't see it.
No, that's scary. What we watched before is nightmare fuel.
Yeah,
thing-
especially if you were sleeping in that tent.
That thing coming out of the woods like that and moving and with a purpose, that's nightmare fuel.
Can you imagine if you were the one who were sleeping in that tent and you didn't review that footage until a couple of days later when you got home? Like, well, would you look at that? There's a place I'm never camping again.
You ain't wrong. You ain't wrong.
I don't know, though. We're idiots. We probably would go right back. But
Probably would.
most people would be like, nope, I'm done.
Probably would.
Next time I'm camping at a Motel 6.
They'll leave the light on for you.
Right.
Oh my God.
You like that, didn't you, Doc?
That was good. They do.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I saw that video the other night and I thought there was something to it. But
Wasn't until you saw it on the bigger screen.
oh man, that just watching it on my phone, I was like, oh man, that's pretty cool. That's some eye shine. I can see that eye shine. And then
A lot more to it than the eye shine. Yeah, I'd watched it on my phone too, and I could see it pretty well on my phone. But when I played it for you guys, it was the first time I'd watched it on the big screen too, and I was like, and then you hear Doc go, "Jesus Christ!"
Man, dude, that was a genuine, unedited, unfiltered reaction. That was real.
Yes,
What
it
y'all
were.
heard that was not scripted. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was a genuine reaction. Like, holy crap, dude, that thing was huge.
And and Brian pointed out earlier, and I noticed it. I didn't put two and two together like he did, but he said if you look at the hands, they're cupped like Patty's were. When she walked.
Because gorillas walk with their hands cupped. Because the morphology of their hands is different from ours. Antonio Vasquez says, DA, the Book of Enoch talks about mermaids and cryptids. I did not know that. I probably should read that. William says he's still not doing well. William, we're praying for you, brother.
For you, brother.
Love you, William.
Wyatt just said.
Wyatt says, I watched that video several times. I only noticed the whole figure recently.
Mm-hmm.
Get some more water. Be right back.
There we go. Mike's with us on that. Mike says, I believe you boys are right. I believe it's adaptive camouflage. That's what makes the most sense.
And we've been saying that for at least 2 years
now?
3 years?
Better part of 3.
But it just seems like, more and more that stuff like this is happening and things are getting caught. It keeps adding up that there's something to it. That's wild.
That one will give you the chills.
Yeah.
Every time I'm watching that video and those eyes, you can first see those eyes starting to appear in the darkness. I'm like, ooh.
I didn't have that effect when I watched it on the phone. I had it tonight when I saw the whole.
On the phone, it didn't affect me like it did on the bigger screen. I mean, it is clear as crystal.
Hey, can you email that video to me?
Sure, absolutely. I'll send it to you once we get off the show.
Cool.
You want me to send you that Freeman one too?
Yeah, send them both to me.
Yeah,
Okay.
send them to me too. For flavor.
I'll send them to both of y'all.
I appreciate it.
Day Notter. No, was it Day Nachos?
What he said. Like Sanford and Son.
Nachos Gracie ass.
You said what your brother said, Doc.
No. Let me see. How far back in chat is it?
He just said it.
I'll just put it up on.
His hands cupped. You're funny, Bones.
If your hands are cupped, it's better to flip you off with.
Correct.
And Doc's quick on the draw with them birds.
Yes, he
I know,
is.
I've been the recipient of
Those
many
birds.
of them.
William says they can hear you better than a coyote can. They can smell you and your equipment from hundreds of feet away, and they rely on sight for short distance vision. Yeah, they're perfectly adapted to their environment. They are going to notice even subtle changes in it.
Mm-hmm. Well, and and here's something. You think about predators that are specialized for things. I mean, we know that crocodiles and alligators have those receptacles in their nose and on their lower jaw that they can feel pressure waves in the water. Sharks have the ampullae lorenzini and the lateral lines for all that stuff. We have no clue what kind of special adaptations these things have.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're that we've theorized anyway that they do most of their hunting at night. So they've got to have some kind of specialized thing that we don't even know about that helps them do that. Which most nocturnal predators have really good.
Sorry.
Well, most nocturnal predators have really good sense of smell, have really good sense of hearing, because a lot of times you can't see what you're going after, so you have to smell it and you have to be able to hear it. So what William said makes a whole lot of sense.
Mm-hmm. And, there's got to be a reason why Uncanny Valley is a thing. Why people all over the planet from all walks of life all have that fear of things that look almost human in the dark.
Okay, put yourself in a situation where that tent's not there and you're sitting around a campfire and that walks out of the darkness like that. That's Uncanny Valley all day long.
That is the definition of Uncanny Valley.
Yeah.
That is the fear of something coming out of the dark that looks almost like you that's about to snatch you up and take you off.
What was the quote from Nietzsche? Be careful of a man who fights monsters, and if you gaze into the abyss long enough, the abyss gazes into you.
Well, the abyss just gazed.
It says mag drop at that point. Yeah, that'd be a swift reload. Mag dump followed by an expedient reload.
Man, I can't get over that video.
That video was way better than the encounters we've been reading.
Angie was taking the critters out to do their business. So I'm gonna get her to, whenever you send it to me, I'm gonna get her to watch it. She missed it.
Linsos, give us a super chat. Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate that. Our roulette's and stupid YouTube commercials. Sorry, I ain't anything I can do about that. That is all on YouTube. But I've got YouTube Premium. It's only like $10 a month. I don't see commercials. Hate to push product for YouTube, but yeah, that's really the only way you're going to get around seeing commercials, because YouTube has disabled most ad block software. So you can't even use a good ad block to keep YouTube from popping the commercials up. About the only way to safely do it is to get YouTube Premium. Since now I want to go camping. I want to go back out there to that. I want to go to Drury Mincy now more than ever. George McPhillips says it's not just you and we are in the land of monsters. I'm an ocean away, but you guys are family. Thank you, dude. Appreciate that.
I appreciate it.
There we go. 443 Big Fix says sheet for me would be like that scene from Generation Kill. Follow my tracers. Yeah, I'd be like, yeah, I'm laying down fire. Just shoot where I'm shooting.
Crazy.
Just a guy. This is kind of foreshadowing for going down to Drury Mincy. Just a guy says, DA, now imagine that Bigfoot silhouette, but not an 8 to 10 foot tall ape, but a mountain lion. That's the kind of footage I'm hoping we can catch down in Drury Mincy.
We just hope it ain't found footage.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's hope it ain't found footage. But if we do have a good signal, I'm definitely going to be saving to the cloud as I record. You know, God forbid we come out of there as a big cat bowel movement, but at least somebody will see the video.
Okay. You okay? Yeah, he just, the old bulldog from the Tom and Jerry commercial. Yeah, he just scratched me. Falling to pieces.
That's true.
I'll be getting it by the mountain lion thing, and Doc will be in Robbie's backpack yelling, "Faster, faster, you fool, you fool!"
Yeah.
Master Blaster.
Yeah, exactly.
Master Blaster runs Barter Town.
Wyatt says, "I'll give it a hairball." I'm going to tell it I'm loaded with the bad cholesterol. It doesn't want me. Unfortunately, it's going to see me and think Wagyu human. Look at all the marbling on that fat guy.
Like I've said many times, I'll just be an appetizer. And a moose boosh.
The other one's going to tap me and say, which fat guy? There's two of them. The one with the gray beard. They both got gray beards.
One in the cowboy hat. You're not narrowing it down any.
Yeah. Hillary said 3 piles of big cat scat each with a dapper hat on top. That's good. That's good.
I like that. That's funny. Whew.
That's funny right there.
It's just Ryan. Bring line.
Well, remember the extra undies.
Yeah.
Yeah. And don't forget to change your socks. Oh, if we get attacked, all we really need is socks and Motrin, boys. I mean, that's what the VA tells you.
Yeah. I will definitely be bringing my bounty.
Clean socks and Motrin. Oh, I'll be bringing the bounty.
Yeah.
And the gunner's mate and a few of its siblings.
The Redonda will make it.
Redondo. That's the name of that one. It's a good looking knife.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Barber says, if I find 3 cowboy hats and scat, you each get Sweet and Low box. That's funny. He's going to scoop us up and bury us with minimal honors.
Use stevia for mine, Brian.
Yeah. Harold Goodell says, don't pee on a tree.
That's what you did at LBL, ain't it?
But Steve
No,
did.
that's what Steve did.
Joe Bald. Joe Bald.
Boys, I don't know that we can top those videos.
Yeah, those were great.
The encounter stories are great, but that video is.
That's pretty fantastic.
I think I'm going to start like scouring some of these sites for some of these videos, and maybe do 1 or 2 videos and talk about them on the show for, coming up shows. However, this Wednesday, coming Wednesday the 9th, we are going to have Vic Cundiff on the show. The OG of Dogman himself from Dogman Encounters, Vic Cundiff will be joining us. Next Saturday will be Luca Jacobs. She wasn't able to join us this week because she was sick, but she'll be back with us a week from tonight. And then 2 weeks from tonight, Saturday, July 19th, we'll have Brett Sturdivant back on the show from Highway of the Hidden. And we'll be looking to book some more between here and there.
We should have Coley back on probably a Wednesday or so here in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
She's her phone and computer and everything crashed on her. So the day she was supposed to be on, she was in the midst of, and DA can tell you that ain't fun to try to get a phone when you need one that quick.
Yeah, that sucks.
So we got some good guests coming on here.
Absolutely.
And then the 22nd of July, DA and I will be on Monsters Lounge with Tressa and Jenny.
I'd forgotten about that. I'm glad you mentioned that. That'll be a Tuesday night.
Yep. So y'all come check us out. And then as Brett said when he's going to release it, because you and I were on with him.
It'll be this coming Friday.
Yep. So be looking for that on Highway of the Hidden. Pretty good show about Antarctica.
William, have a great night, brother. Thank you for popping in, and we're praying for you, brother.
Good night, William.
Pagan Trucker says y'all should look at having Roy Stubblefield on. We need to get Roy on. It's been a minute. We've both been on his show.
Mm-hmm.
I'll reach out to him, see if he wants to come on. That'd be a good one too. But Roy's more paranormal than cryptid, though.
Then we talked about getting back in touch with MK Davis again, and with
Dr. Meldrum.
Dr. Meldrum. There was one other we were talking about. Oh, Highcheck, Doug Highcheck.
Yeah,
we talked about him.
Yeah, we need to make some inquiries on all of those guys. See if we can't get them booked on the show. I'd like to get Doug's opinion on that TikTok video we showed.
Yeah,
I really would. I bet Doug could. If Doug hasn't already seen it, he'd get a kick out of it.
MK Davis would be another good one to get.
Oh yeah,
and Jesus would probably be a good person to show that video too.
MK has done a lot of digging into the Paul Freeman film. We should just do a night on the Paul Freeman film with MK.
Because he actually talked about that when he came on the show the last time.
Yeah, he did.
Sure did. He had the hair pictures and everything.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Little Patty says, Robbie, did I hear you right? Did you do a show with Donnie Cho? Who's Donnie Cho?
I did that show like 2 years ago.
Don't think I know him.
Yeah, you know he was. This was before things.
Our roulette says get Thinker Thunker. I've reached out to Thinker Thunker, never heard back. But I'd also like to get Kumbo back on the show too. Maybe get him and Greg both on. Larry Berlin says, Robbie, how many claws on a mountain lion paw?
4 and then a dew claw. Or I think it's a little bit different placement on a cat than it is on a dog. It would be up here, but I think on a cat it's a little bit closer to where the thumb would be. But the big thing on a canine versus a feline track is if you see the claws, then it's going to be a canine because their claws don't retract. There's no
no claws, it's usually feline track because their claws don't come out when they walk. They only come out when they want them to.
Still, Hardington says, what lurks beneath? Josh texted me the other day, Josh Nonocchio. He was thinking about, he was wanting to have me back on sometime this month on his channel. And we're going to, when we firm that up, I'll see about getting him back on too. Josh is always a good guest.
Mm-hmm. Had a good time last time he was on.
Folks, we are really climbing up there. We're just over 9,700. We're we're less than 300 away from hitting the 10K mark, and which will really help us jump out into the algorithm. So when the analytics are still showing that about 40% of the people that watch the videos are not subscribed to the videos. So folks, just if you're checking these videos out and you like the kind of content we've been doing, please make sure you subscribe to the channel. We would sure appreciate it if you think we've earned your subscription. It doesn't cost you a cent. Just hit that subscribe button, and we would love to have you as part of the family here. And if you guys don't mind sharing the channel, if you know folks that enjoy this kind of content, please share this far and wide because we would love to continue to grow with the channel, and that'll give us the ability to do a lot more things with the channel. Because once it reaches the point where ad revenue starts buying equipment, then we're going to be able to do a hell of a lot more. At the moment, it doesn't do a whole lot. Thad Brown says you should talk to Rocky Mountain Sasquatch. They went to the location of the Freeman site and the Roosevelt site. I will see if I can reach out to them. That'd be a good one.
Yeah, and here's the thing: if we ever get to the size of that, where YouTube is paying the bills, where we could actually start, like you said, buying equipment and going and doing.
And wouldn't that be fun?
Oh man, we wouldn't have to worry about anything except doing stuff like that and putting content out for y'all.
What a blessing that would be. That'd be so much fun.
To be able to do this and be able to go on locations like we're wanting to do, but I'll be able to do it all the time. That would be so awesome.
Plus, we all get to hang out with each other. Have
Group hug.
Jeremy Lee says it's amazing how adaptive camouflage is starting to become more prevalent since you guys first proposed the idea.
Yeah.
Same thing about Teddy Roosevelt being Bauman. That's starting to gain some traction. As is the tongue pop theory.
It's almost like people are listening to your show and taking it and doing other stuff with it. Who knows?
Same thing with the map overlays. I mean, we've seen big channels do. We did most of this. You can check the backlogs on it. We did most of these shows before these other shows did. We've seen shows on people doing the map overlays, the Teddy Roosevelt thing, adaptive camouflage, the tongue clicks or tongue pops, whatever you want to call them. We've seen that's 4 separate shows that we've done multiple years ago that people are just now starting to do.
Yeah. Or not to run says, can you guys talk about what clues to look for when finding and investigating location to investigate? Well, the first thing you've got to ask yourself is there enough in the local area to support an animal like that? If it can support bears and it can support mountain lions, it can support a large predator. But the 3 main things you've got to look for is there shelter, is there food, and is there water? If you're missing any of those, if you never see deer in that area, odds are good you're never going to see big predators there either. But if you see plenty of food and there are places where it can hide, like deep woods or caves, and there's plenty of fresh water, you're probably going to find them in that area.
And another thing to look for, as far as past what DA said, just listen to local folklore, legend, whatever you want to call it. Get out and talk to people. And I know a lot of people don't like to do that because people they'll call me crazy, but that's really the best way to get out there and start talking to people. When we were out in Combs Ferry that time, that guy that was walking in the woods, we just went up and started talking to him. DA's like, hey, I'm a local author. I'm doing research. Have you heard of anything weird happening around here. You don't always have to walk up and say, "Hey, have you seen Bigfoot?" You can word it and say, "You heard any strange things?" Anything.
And a business card goes a long way to making you look less like a crazy Bigfoot guy.
True.
You present a business card and say, "Hey, I'm an author, or I'm a researcher, or I have a host a podcast." People will listen to you a little bit more than they will if like, "Hey, have you ever," like Dobby was saying, "Hey, you ever seen Bigfoot?" They're like, "Yeah, go take your meds."
It's about knowing how to talk to people. If you can talk to people, like if you, let's just say you're driving down the road and you pull up in somebody's yard and talk to them, you see a guy out working on his boat or something like that, start talking about fishing and things like that first, and then will you ever anything ever weird happen when you out? Like, we go fishing at night. Like, anything weird ever happen? I've heard a lot of weird stuff that happened on that lake. Well,
Patty
now that you've
heard it. Yeah. Well, Patty says she's heard my dogman encounter near Lexington on other channels. That's kind of interesting. What other channels?
I'm telling you, I think Doc hit the nail on the head. I think people are listening to some of the stuff we're saying, or apparently a lot of the stuff we're saying.
Because we've been proven right in several cases, or at least we're basing it on facts, not on hopes and dreams. DA, what are y'all's thoughts on Dr. Mariah Mayer? I've never met the lady. However, in October, we are going to get a chance to hang out and meet Russell Accord. I've never met the lady, but that show seems, of all of the shows on the air, that one seems the most credible to me. Expedition Bigfoot. And the fact that she's a primatologist and believes in Bigfoot carries a lot of weight.
Mm-hmm. I was actually watching a show probably a couple months ago. I can't remember what show I was watching. It was like not one of our normal ones that we watch. And somebody in the chat, I couldn't catch who it was, said you should check out DAExMachiNation. So I think we are kind of getting our name out there.
Hillary was saying that Laura Lodge did a show about the Bauman theory. I really think we were the first ones that did a show on the Bauman theory.
Remember, I text both y'all in our little chat group, told y'all it had like 117,000 views at the time that I told y'all, and that was months ago.
Look that up.
That's a big channel, and they did it. I want to say it was this year when they did that show, and we did it 2 years ago. I think was the first one we did on that.
Yeah, at least.
Matter of fact, I think I actually went on and left a comment on that.
It's had 201,000 views. Interesting. That's awesome. I think that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Little Patty said she'll email me the channel. Okay, I'd like to check it out. Thanks, Little Patty. I was going to say something else. Boys, it's a little after 10. Probably ought to start winding things down, and we can kind of do the things we normally do as we wrap up the show. At some point, we had well over 200 people watching, which is absolutely fantastic. I want to thank all of y'all for joining with us. Make sure you guys are hitting that like, share, and subscribe. We really appreciate each and every one of you guys. We had a great time tonight. I enjoyed talking about these encounter stories, but those videos, man, those are the ones that'll give you the heebies and the jeebies. And you got to hear Doc's gut reaction because he hadn't seen that video before.
Yeah, that was unscripted for sure. Sorry.
I'll email both y'all the copies of those. That way we've all got. But I'll make sure you get the doll sheep video too, Doc.
Oh,
I know Robbie's got it. Robbie's got it, but make sure you guys get copies of those as well.
But you can send it to me. I don't have the doll sheep video.
All right, I'll send it to you. I made more.
Never mind. You did.
Okay. But folks, hope you guys had a happy and safe 4th of July celebration. I know they're still rocking my neighborhood with fireworks. Even over my noise canceling earphones, I can kind of hear them once in a while. But fortunately, my sound filter is filtering most of it out. I don't know if you guys have heard anything, but they've definitely been rocking the neighborhood. Don says, great show with you guys. Thank you, Doc, DA Doc and Robbie. Thank you, brother. We appreciate that.
Thank you, brother.
We really appreciate you guys hanging out with us. It means the world to us. And like I said, help us get to that 10K mark, because we really want to continue to get our name out there in the algorithm, and we want to keep bringing you guys content like we did tonight. And we got some great shows planned for you. Again, we get the man himself, Vic Cundiff, will be here this coming Wednesday night, and that's going to be an awesome show. But we got some great shows lined up for you guys coming up, and I think you guys are going to enjoy them a lot. Don't forget to check out all of our affiliates. Check out the good folks over at Dark Angel Medical. Packing birthdays in boxes. Don't forget to use discount code Cryptid20 for 20% off your entire order. And remember, the time chooses you, because you never know when that med kit's either going to save your life or the life of someone you care about. Check out the good folks over at Scallywag Tactical, best blades in the business. Plus, they got some really cool merch as well. T-shirts, French press coffee makers, little like key rings and all kinds of cool stuff over there. So check them out. They're another veteran-owned company. Doc's a veteran. Dark Angel's a veteran-owned company. And that's what we like to support. So check out Scallywag Tactical. Don't forget to use discount code DARoberts10 for 10% off your order. And check out our newest affiliate over at SigwoArms.com. Sigwo is a local gun manufacturer. And if you're a shooter or an enthusiast, they do custom work. And if you're a fan of the Wild Hunt, that's the place where you get your Wild Hunt AR build. Plus lots of other custom works. If you want a whisper pickle for your pew pew, those are the guys to go get a hold of. And by whisper pickle, I do mean a suppressor. So in case any of y'all didn't know what that was, but get you a whisper pickle and a modified, a customized AR to put it on. And you couldn't ask for a better group of guys. The veteran-owned company, good group of dudes. Talk to the Codys over there. There's two guys named Cody. So just reach out to the Codys over at Sigwo Arms, and they will go bend over backwards to help you guys out.
Speaking of fans of the Wild Hunt, you want me to show them Valkyrie?
Yeah, absolutely. That's pretty badass.
I like that.
Robbie did that. And with his laser etcher.
Yep.
But again, folks, thank you guys so much. I hope you had an amazing holiday. But one thing I want to point out about holiday is the explosions of those fireworks does a lot of times have an adverse effect on people with PTSD. Just remember that, check on the folks that that served and wore a uniform. Let them know you're thinking about them. Let them know you care, because 22 times a day we lose a veteran to suicide, and that is entirely too many. It's preventable. We need to get that number down to 0 where it belongs. So reach out to your friends and family that have worn a uniform. I don't care what capacity, what branch, first responders, check on them, because they've all seen traumatic shit that haunts them. I know I've seen more than my fair share. Robbie has, Doc has, and we've got a great little network where we can, hey fucker, are you awake at 2:00 in the morning? And if we need to talk, somebody's there to talk. Steve's right there with us. I mean, Steve was a law enforcement officer for a while, but now he's a registered nurse, and he deals with some pretty traumatic crap. So again, reach out to your friends and family. Let them know you're thinking about them. Let them know you care. And everybody give a big shout out to our moderators. We've got a hell of a team of moderators. I call them the Mod Squad. But give everybody a big thumbs up and a shout out to the moderators, because they do an awesome job of keeping the chat flowing and pointing out questions when we miss them. And Miss Lene's really quick about grabbing screenshots like she did tonight, or the links for where you can reach out and help the victims of the flood in Texas. And again, keep those folks in your prayers, because there's a lot of parents right now don't know if their child's alive or if they're ever going to come home. And as a parent, that is the worst feeling in the world. You don't ever want to have to outlive one of your children. And so keep those folks in your prayers. Let's hope they find some of these kids alive. What's the death toll now? 19?
Something like that, yeah.
It's up there.
Yeah.
Bad.
I think it's at least 19 so far, and some of these kids are as young as 6 years old. So again, keep those folks in your prayers. And if you want to help, there's links that have been posted. Miss Lene just posted the link again. If you want to help, I'm going to follow that link myself and send some PayPal money their way, and hopefully, every nickel will help. Because this is a horrible tragedy, and it's bad enough when something tragic happens to adults, but when it happens to kids, it really tugs on my heartstrings. So again, pray for those folks. Let's hope we get some good news, and they can bring some of these kids home. Folks, as we're gonna start winding it down, I've already talked about 22 a day. We're gonna close her out with the toast, and you know what? Doc's with us tonight. I'm gonna ask Doc to lead us in the toast. I'm going to bring it up on screen, and then I'm going to take my hat off and try not to blind y'all with my forehead, and grab a glass of whatever you like, and we'll let Doc close us out.
But since it fell into my lot that I should rise and you should not, I'll gently rise and softly call. Good night and joy be to you all. Slàinte mhath.
Slàinte mhath.
Thank you for joining us. Catch us again Wednesdays and Saturdays on DAExMachiNation. A special thanks to all our channel members and Patreon supporters. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe.